Hello again, everybody. Today's video wasn't one I was planning on doing, but due to high demand, well, okay, only one guy, that'd be Heath from Human City Junction Model Railroad, wanted to see my collection of diesel engines on this middle row here. So I decided I'm going to show you all my DCC diesel engines. So let's get started. So first off, okay, it's not a diesel, but my first or smallest DCC engine, if you want to call that, is this little inspection sedan made by Broadway Limited. And it's amazing they made something this small. And I did color the wheels with that marker I showed you in the previous video, because this had big shiny wheels and kind of looked a little funny. And then I have my Walters little Plymouth switcher, which this thing is nice. It's hefty for its size, and it has continuous lighting. And that too, I painted the wheels because they were shiny and just looked odd. But it has directional lighting, but no sound. And the previous one, little sedan, that has no sound or light. And then I got these two Bachmann GP30s, because Nickel Plate Road is my favorite railroad. These are DCC with no sound. And a little side note, they do have the dynamic braking vent, which Nickel Plate didn't have because none of their engines had dynamic brakes. And then we have the Broadway Limited RF16, known as the Shark. You've seen that in a previous video. This is also a Broadway Limited engine, and man, I just love the Shark. Plus, I was fortunate enough as a kid to actually see this and its sister run. All right, now let's quickly look at my SD40-2s. This is a Broadway Limited high nose. You don't see those very often. And this, I think, is Paragon 2. So it has crew sounds and all that good stuff. And then I have the Broadway Limited SD4-2 Illinois Central. And I think this is Paragon 1. So this has sound, but doesn't have any crew talking or anything like that. This is my scale trains. I should move these so you can see these better. Scale trains operator series, so it doesn't have all the details that Scale Trains is known for, but still very nice model. And then we have the Scale Trains SD40-2, and this one I just love because I used to be a bicycle racer back in the 80s and 90s. And this is the rivet counter, so it has all the fine details. But I'm trying to go fast because there's just so many engines, and I don't want to make this a wicked long video where you get bored of looking at every little detail. So next, we'll look at the wide cabs. So here we have the Athearn Roundhouse AC44 C6M, and that is DCC with no sound, and it has the old filament light bulb, so someday I gotta put LEDs in this. I got this one used. Next we have the ES44AC, and all the rest after this will be the same model. This is Intermountain. This too is just DCC, and interesting enough, ditch lights do flash when you hit the horn, but it doesn't make any sound. I also got this one used. I just like the fact it's a demo paint scheme. Then you've probably seen this one if you're watching my channel. The Mike's Toy Train GE Evolution Hybrid, excuse me. It has the running LED lights. I'm going to try to go fast with this because otherwise we'll be here all night looking at these. And this is my first actual real modern DCC diesel. It's a Walters. The handrails are wrong because they're too narrow for NS. But I really like it. I should get the detail kit that has the extra handrails and all that Walters offers. But this does have sound. And this is Intermountain, the nickel plate heritage unit for NS. And when I bought it, I really was into the DCC thing. I just wanted the engine because nickel plate road's my favorite. So now I regret not getting this with sound. But still, it's a beautiful unit and it runs fantastic. And it has the flashing ditch lights when you hit the horn. The Magnahelia NS Heritage unit, that is a Broadway Limited model with smoke, and it has, you know, all the bells and whistles, has the crew talking and everything. I mean, it's a really nice engine. Then I got this on clearance at Train World. I got a whole bunch of the NS Heritage units from Train World on clearance, and I really never set out to have all 20, but once they started doing the clearance price on these, I couldn't say no and bought all but 2 of the Heritage units. And this was the first one I saw the real one of years ago. Then we have the Bachmann Interstate. And, you know, these may not be at the same level as, you know, your MTH or Broadway Limited, but I like the Bachmanns. I mean, they look great. They came in perfect condition, every one of them in the box. This is the Conrail. I really like this one because I miss the old Conrail days. And what's interesting, the second run of Bachmann had working ditch lights. I think the first run didn't. And most of the ones I have working ditch lights. Okay, this is Norfolk and Western. This is sort of a special unit to me. I don't think I'll say why tonight, but maybe sometime later I'll explain it. This is the Bachmann Central of Georgia. And this one does not have working ditch lights. So it's one of the earlier Bachmann. And then the Lehigh Valley, which I think is pretty sharp. And this one also doesn't have working ditch lights. And this one, I saw one in real life, is so elusive. I was in Altoona, it passed by me, and I was 2 blocks away. I didn't get to see it. And I finally saw it in my neighborhood at, like, I think 1 in the morning. Okay, so let's move on to the SD70 ACEs. Okay, so all these will be the SD70 ACE. And I bought this one used, but I don't think it was ever taken out of the box. And I really wasn't looking for this paint scheme per se, but I got for the price I got it for on an auction site, I couldn't say no. It's a Mike's Toy Trains. It's got, you know, DCC and sound, and the crew chatter and all kinds of fun stuff. And you know what? It's a historical locomotive, so it's pretty cool. And this is getting back to the NS Heritage units. This is a Bachmann Reading line. This is the NS Savannah and Atlanta unit. And then we have the Illinois Terminal, which that has one bright paint scheme. But hey, in real life, it really is that bright. Then we have the Bachmann Virginian. It's another cool paint job. And this one doesn't have working ditch lights either. The other ones I showed do. I really like this paint job. The Jersey Central lines. But then again, I really like anything with orange. Another great heritage paint scheme, the Locomotives. It's just, I think it's just a classic, gorgeous paint scheme. Same with this NS Heritage Erie unit. I mean, that green is beautiful. And then we have the classic New York Central. This is also Bachmann without working ditch lights. But all my Bachmanns do have, sound and directional lighting and all that. And then this is a Mike's Toy Trains DCC only. All the lights work, the ditch lights and stuff, but I got this at a train shop that was closing, and they didn't have this particular unit, so that's when I picked it up. I prefer sound, but sometimes you gotta take what you can get. And then this is the Walters, and that's DCC with no sound. Once again, when I bought this, I really wasn't into DCC, so I regret not getting the sound version of this. Plus, I want to get the detail kit for it that has all the grab irons. And also, if anyone watching this knows, where can you find the antenna array for the SD70 ACE? Okay, let's see. You can see it on here. I don't know. I know somebody makes the Sinclair antennas, but that centerpiece, I don't know if anybody makes that piece in HO that you can add on. Okay, let's move on to some other models. Alright, you've seen this before in a video of mine. This is the Scale Trains Rivet Counter C44-9W, also known as the Franken Loco. I just think that's so cool. And a big piece of lint on it. Isn't that nice? And then we have the first engine I ever bought from Scale Trains. This is an ET44C4 engine. And then another Scale Trains engine, and Canadian National calls this the ET44AC, which is pretty much the same unit as the one before. And I got this one, I think 2 years ago at Christmas time. They offered $50 off of anything, so that was a good buy. This is a Broadway Limited, I think it's called the Blue Line AC 6000. And this one, I think it does have crew chatter on it. The Scale Trains don't have crew talking on it. And then this is another Broadway Limited AC 6000. I got this one used at a really good price. And I don't know if you noticed, but I've been trying to get every major road name, which I do have, except for Canadian Pacific, which is something I want to work on for this year. And then this is probably my favorite modern DC engine. This is also a Broadway Limited AC 6000, and this has the smoke that comes out of the stacks. And I just think the AC 6000 is one of the coolest looking engines, especially you could always tell because it has how the radiator came off the back. And this thing was 6,000 horse when it came out, and it wasn't really successful, but still looked great. This is an Athearn SD70 MAC, or MAC. have some issues with this one. When I got it, it's supposed to be the sound model. And it turns out it didn't have the sound decoder or speaker in it, but the box said it did. And I know the person I got it from, so they lost money on the deal because they gave me a big refund because I was expecting sound on it. And I did put in a decoder with built-in speaker, and it's, I don't know, doesn't sound right. I can't get the lights to work right, but it looks great. And then my last engine, this is an MK50-3, which only Southern Pacific used, and then they sold them to Utah Railway. And this is an Athearn SD60 drive and trucks on it, but the body is made by a company called, I'm looking it up right now, CMR Productions, and it needs a little work. I actually bought the shell and another engine to make my own, but then somebody had this on eBay. I figured most of the work's done and I can just touch this up. I gotta put new railings, numbers on number board. But when this engine came out, it was the most powerful diesel ever produced at the time, because when it came out it was called the MK5000C, and it was 5,000 horsepower. And it had its issues and it got rebuilt, and it's basically an EMD now, and they changed it to the MK50-3. So I hope you enjoy looking at my DCC diesels. And the funny thing was, when I turned 50 and got really back into model trains, I told myself, I'm not really going to get into this DCC thing because the expense, and I have a DC Empire. Then I realized I had bought DCC engines with sound without too much thought, because I had bought two Broadway Limited Mikados. They were nickel plate road, and they work on DC. You just have to know how to flick the front and reverse switch to trigger the bell and the horn. And also Broadway Limited made these little controls you can hook up to your DC track to make the sounds work, which I never wired this up. And then I kind of realized, I kind of like the sound option. And so, it's one of those things, you buy one diesel and the next thing you know, you got 30 more. Alright, hope you enjoy the show, especially you, Heath, and I'll catch you guys later.